Hello. Today we're going to look at the metric system. So for your pre-lecture notes on the metric system, you had to fill in the portion in gray. In gray, we see that the prefix for kilo is abbreviated K, hecto is H, deca is DA. The basic unit can be either meters, liters, or grams, each with their own abbreviation, which we'll cover in a few moments. Deci is D. Now, deci is the second D in the list of abbreviations. And so the way that I remember this is that deca, which is larger than the base unit, has two letters to its abbreviation, whereas deci, which is smaller than the basic unit, has just one letter to the abbreviation. Moving on down then, centi is abbreviated C, milli is abbreviated M, and micro can be abbreviated as MC or with the Greek letter mu. We see the comparison values so that we see that a kilo is 1,000 times the base unit, deca is 10 times the base unit, deci is 1/10, centi is 1/100th, milli is 1,000th. And then there's a big jump because micro is 1/1,000,000th. And so when we move from milli to micro, we're not just moving one place value in our number system, but rather three place values. You do need to memorize the metric system. And the best way to memorize the metric system is using the mnemonic device. So we see in the sentence that King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk full of microorganisms. The K in King Henry is representing the K in kilo. H in Henry is representing the hecto. The D in died represents deca, which is abbreviated DA. The B in the middle represents the basic unit. So this middle value can be either meter, liter, or gram. So if you are measuring weight, that's going to be in grams. And so your base unit is going to be abbreviated with just G for gram, no prefix. If you are measuring volume, your base unit is going to be the liter, and that is abbreviated with uppercase L. Again, no prefix on that. And then if you're measuring length, your base unit is going to be meter, and that is abbreviated M. So sometimes people struggle with the M that is used for milli, and they're asking the question as they think through this, how do I know if an M is milli or if an M is meter? So if we just have a single M, that is meter. In order to have milli, milli is a prefix. And so a prefix, as we understand from our English language, has to be in front of a base unit or a basic word. So if something has milli as part of it, such as milliliters, we would see the M paired with the L. If we want millimeters, a measurement of length, we use two M's, one for the prefix milli and one for the base unit of meter. So we are able to tell if the M is representing meter or if it is representing milli based on its placement. And then lastly, when we look at the micro, it is 3 spaces away from milli, and so in our mnemonic device, the full and of are 2 placeholders helping us to move our decimal 3 places. And we'll see that again when we take a look at some examples. Most of the time we will do our conversions with the metric system using the metric line, which is the gray portion, and we'll use the mnemonic device of that sentence about King Henry. However, sometimes problems include metric conversions as well as other conversions, and so it is really nice to have some metric conversions memorized. I would recommend that you memorize the 5 that are here on this portion of your pre-lecture notes. Make them into flashcards so that you can easily do them without having to write down the metric line. These 5, the first 4 are all conversions of 1,000. The last one, those centimeters to meters, there are only 100 centimeters in a meter. As far as writing the abbreviations and the numbers, we do have some rules that help us in healthcare to avoid errors. So the first rule that we have is that you must add a leading 0 before a decimal. So if you wanted the decimal for 1/2, you should write that 0.5. Or if you wanted the decimal 0.82, you should write that 0.82. Writing that leading 0 in front of the decimal calls attention to the decimal and helps to avoid errors. Second, in healthcare, we do not include trailing zeros. And I had mentioned in week 1 that we don't use the significant digit rules in healthcare that are used in the other sciences. In the sciences in general, zeros at the end of the number can communicate how precisely the number is measured or how accurate it is. However, in healthcare, we don't want to have an error, so we do not want to have extra zeros as they do not add any value. So if I have 1.500 grams, I should communicate that as just 1.5 grams and not include extra zeros. We have some additional rules that are listed here. So you are to never write the Greek letter mu for micrograms. If you're going to handwrite micrograms, you must use mcg. However, you have to know both abbreviations because things that are typewritten will include the μg or the mcg. Second, at one point in the history of the United States, we used cc for cubic centimeter, referring to a milliliter. We even had syringes that were labeled with cc's because they held cubic centimeters. That has changed, and so the current guidance is that volume is measured in milliliters, and so instead of cc, you should always use milliliter. You will find some people who have been in healthcare for quite some time who are still using cc. And so again, it's important that you know this abbreviation even though you should not use it. You should never use fractions with the metric system. The metric system is designed to go with the decimal system, which is our number system. Third, there are no periods with the metric abbreviations. If it's the end of a sentence, you can put a period, but if you're just writing in the midst of a sentence, you put the abbreviation with no period. And finally, there is no S at the end of the metric abbreviations. So if you have 1,000 grams, you still abbreviate it 1,000 G, and we read it with the plural based on the context. So I would like you to memorize, and as you're memorizing, you want to keep in mind that every prefix can be combined with every root. You want to keep in mind that prefixes are never used alone. And so, as I mentioned on the first slide, our roots are liter, gram, and meter, which are the base units. And then the prefix is placed in front of the root. So if I want milliliter, I put M and then L, milli being my prefix, liter being my root. This is how we know which M stands for milli and which M stands for meter. It's about location in the abbreviation based on location within the word. So I have on your screen a list of metric abbreviations. All of them are written incorrectly or in one way or another. What I would like you to do is to pause the video. If you have your content guide in front of you, go through the content guide and write the correct abbreviations. After you're finished, you can unpause the video and see the answers. So typed in red are the reasons why each one is incorrect, and at the end are the correct answers. Again, you can pause the video here and double check your work.